The following podcast contains adult themes, graphic sexual content, strong language, alcohol and drug references, and some infrequent violence. Everything you need for a wild ride.
Also, please do remember that this is a work of fiction. So if any of the characters are familiar to you, or you find similarities with real people or their music, just know that they're all lightly inspired by many of our favorite bands and they are completely fictional. So let us not get upset about this. Welcome back to Unruly Confessions. I am one of your hosts, Nicole van Niekerk.
And I'm your other host, Arabella Gourlay. Well, we left last week's episode at a bit of an awkward moment with Carter voicing his concerns to the band while Nikki was hiding in her bunk. But you know what? I think you handled that quite well.
Ah, do you? Because I remember it slightly differently. I remember giving away all my power to this guy being a dick to me by letting him know I think he's hot. And regardless of him being a dick, that I still would. What am I doing?
I think that's pretty obvious anyway. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's your favourite fucking band. You're on tour with them. And you love a bit of fighting.
Yep.
It's like...
I do.
Bring foreplay to you.
I know. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But anyway, still, you are on the bus finally, and you're on tour with the fucking band. I mean, how batshit crazy is that?
It is. And just so you guys know, this is just the beginning of the chaos and the hilarity that is about to ensue.
Exactly, and not forgetting all the fun we are going to have with them.
And by we, Bella means me and her when she finally arrives on tour.
Because I am. I'm going to be there, people.
Exactly. If only
she
the
couldn't
band
keep me away.
Yeah.
She could not keep me away.
If only the band knew what they were in for exactly.
I know.
But luckily they don't, because I think Mike would have been like, no. This is a terrible idea for me.
He'd be like, abort.
Or would he?
Ever.
Yeah. Or would he? Because maybe that's exactly what Mike's up for. Anyway, bless.
One can hope.
We're not advertising ourselves very well if some actual band really wants to take us on tour, are we? Like,
No. I promise. We are not like that. No. That is not in any way, shape, or form how it may or may not go. No. No.
If you want your tour to be hilarious and amazing, invite us on your tour. If you want your tour to be boring, don't invite us on your tour.
I totally second that.
So before we get on a freaking tangent of advertising ourselves for real tours, Arabella's gonna recap again. Hold on to your knickers.
Here we go. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. So last week we had episode number 2, Pain in the Ass. So it's the day after meeting Mike, and Nicole is at Sylvia's flat thinking there is no way on earth this tour is going to happen because, like, what the fuck? Like, in what world? She receives a text from the band's PA giving her 1 hour, just one, to get across London to Watford. I think that's kind of cruel, frankly. She gets there. Carter, the rhythm guitarist, is immediately annoyed, and we have no idea why. Mike unfairly remarks on her tardiness, despite the fact that he only gave her 1 fucking hour. So they get on the bus, and she meets the band, which is amazing. So she also meets the Miller brothers, who are techies/roadies, although actually they would kill me for saying that, but there you go. They go through the rules. Mike had time to write down his fetishes, but not time to give Nicole a call. Nicole reminds Mike that she is in fact a brat by slamming a beer on the table. She then gets herself a little bit overwhelmed by everything, so she says she's going to go for a nap, but instead she's really just hiding in her bunk. She does this quite a lot. Carter discusses his annoyance with Mike and the band, whilst Nicole can hear from her bunk. And Nicole, claps back a bit from the bunk. It's all very funny. Mike tells her to shut up and that she's supposed to be sleeping. And finally, the bus gets a jiggle on.
So, before we get into the third episode, Bella and I thought that it might be a good idea to remind everyone of the characters we've met thus far. So, of course, there's me, and there will be Bella. She will be in a future episode. And the people we have met are, of course, the band, where we have Mike, the frontman, Mike Solomon, the frontman. We have Xander Masters, who's the lead guitarist.
We have Carter Townsend, who's the rhythm guitarist, and Noah Nowak, who is the bassist.
We have the wonderful Jason Shanahan. I'm obviously not showing favourites. And the superhero occasion, Billy Gilbo, who is the head of security.
As mentioned before, we have the Miller brothers, Mark and Jacob Miller, who are part of the crew, and the bus driver, Mike, not to be confused with frontman Mike.
Frontman Mike, busman Mike. And we have the last members of the crew, Andrew Stevens, who we've actually not met, but he has been mentioned, and that is the tour manager for the band, and Melissa Casey, who is the band's PA.
And now for episode 3, Chicken Tramezzini.
I opened my eyes. It was dark, and I felt uneasy. I couldn't remember at first, but then slowly Carter's opinion floated back to me. What if I ruined the band by being here? I should avoid upsetting Carter in the future. I made up my mind then and there to listen to whatever Mike told me. I wondered. I know.
Never lasts long.
Like, that's gonna happen. Yeah, sure, good try. I wondered if he was still sleeping above me in the bunk. I listened for any sounds outside the bunk to alert me to anyone's presence, but I couldn't hear voices either. I couldn't hear anything. It was very quiet. What had woken me up then? I couldn't feel the vibration of the bus anymore, so I assumed we had stopped moving. I decided bravely to go have a look outside the bunk, but when I turned my head to the left to get out of the bunk, I saw Xander's head floating next to me. "Mr. Masters!" I exclaimed in shock. He laughed. "Peekaboo!" I propped myself up on my elbows. What is it, sir?" He smiled. "You don't have to call me that when Mike's not around." I giggled nervously. I'd rather not take my chances. "We stopped for dinner," he informed me. "Come on." "I should stay here," I cringed. "Let people cool down?" "People are cooled down," he winked. "If by people you mean Carter." I slipped out of the bunk bed, reluctantly, to follow him. There was no one on the bus but Xander and me. I noted the bus driver, Mike, was gone too, as I followed Xander out of the bus. Once we were outside, I could immediately smell the sea. "Where are we?" I asked. "Folkestone," he replied. "We thought we'd have dinner before retiring as we're crossing to Calais very early tomorrow morning." "Okay, Mr. Masters." He sighed audibly. "Look, it's in the agreement," I complained. "I can't make everyone happy at the same time." "Fair. Like, can I just...
That is fair.
Can I just big up myself and go, fair?
Yeah.
We crossed over the parking lot next to the docks and walked towards a restaurant with a patio that overlooked the dark sea. The moon was reflecting on the black still depths. I followed him through the restaurant to the patio. It was still just warm enough to sit outside. Walking through the restaurant, I noticed that a couple of people were pointing and whispering. I supposed it would be something I'd have to get used to on tour. The rest of the band, Billy and the bus driver, were sitting around a wooden table. There was another man I hadn't met before, but I knew who he was. He had thinning brown hair, wary brown eyes, and was nearing his mid-60s. The band's manager, Andrew Stevens. Xander sat down at the very right end of the table. The earlier tension I felt was no longer there, or they were better actors than I gave them credit for. Billy winked at me when I sat down between him and Xander. Andrew Stevens sat across from me, and Mike on his left and Carter on his right. On Carter's right was Jason, with Noah across from him on Billy's left. "I'm Andrew," Andrew Stevens said and held out his hand to me. I shook it. "Nicole, nice to meet you." "Andrew's the tour manager," Billy informed me unnecessarily. I nodded. Yes, I know. I've heard every single interview you've ever done. A look of shock. Yeah, right in there with the fan. A look of shock crossed my face as Andrew laughed. Fantastic first impression, I thought sarcastically. Well done me. He was friendly enough, unlike Carter, who was glaring at me. I tried to ignore him while the rest of them discussed our tour plans. Is Melissa not supposed to be on this tour? I asked the table. I haven't seen her yet. She drove with me, Andrew replied. She's gone to bed. She never has a moment's rest. After a while, the waiter brought the menu and Andrew turned the conversation to the previous night's show. Congrats on last night, he said. It was a fair show. Fair? I thought. It was the most amazing show I'd ever seen in my life. You were there last night, right, Nicole? Andrew asked me suddenly. After a beat, I nodded. The way he said it, I was sure he knew I was there, but he was merely being polite. I mean... Of course you were there, Nicole, because I heard all the freaking things you got up to behind closed doors and trailers.
Yeah.
What am I like?
All the shenanigans.
After a beat, I nodded. The way he said it, I was sure he knew I was there, but he was merely being polite. What did you think? What did I think of what? I asked awkwardly. Xander and Jason were sniggering. You like music, right? Andrew continued. You do like other things than these boys, right?
Yes. You do listen to the music, yes?
You like music, right? Andrew continued. Yes, I said, searching for appropriate words, or just words that made sense. I looked around at the band whose eyes were all on me, waiting expectantly. Even Billy and Mike, the bus driver, were watching me. It was fine. I looked down at my hand. Oh, the mortification.
Oh.
It was fine. I looked down at my hands on the table. Andrew raised his eyebrows. Really? Yeah, I said nervously. How about the sound? He continued relentlessly. I glanced nervously at Mike. I'm not really the right person to ask. Sure you are, Andrew grinned. You must have seen a lot of shows. You're a big fan. Yeah, but I won't hold what you say against you, Mike assured me. You can be honest. I watched him for a while to make sure he was sincere. It didn't help much. His face had taken on the cool mask, and I couldn't interpret an emotion. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Honestly, the sound was good from where I was standing, I said, suppressing the actual genuine rush I felt because of how brilliant it was. Indescribable, really. But I purposefully choose to stand in the middle and slightly to the back at big shows because I know I have the sound from all sides there, and the bass isn't overpowering. I was desperately trying to change the subject and get the attention away from me. Where are Mark and Jacob Miller? I asked quickly. Most of them just shrugged, which I found rather peculiar. Andrew frowned, looking around. Somewhere. What are the chances they are up to no good? I asked as the thought occurred to me. Rather high, Xander laughed. Oh dear. Everyone laughed at my innocent choice of words. I mean, I suppose, oh dear is quite a big change from all the other things they've heard out of my mouth so far.
Yes.
The waiter arrived to take our order. So, what's everyone having? Andrew asked, bored. Every single head at the table turned to me. Of course, they're letting me order first when I haven't as much as glanced at the menu. I would like a panic. I flipped the menu and opened and scanned it hurriedly. Yes, Nicole? Andrew prompted. You were saying? A salad, right? Mike asked mockingly. Excuse
Rude.
me? What?
Is it rude?
So rude, Mike. Excuse me? I asked, raising my eyebrows. Do I look like I live off salads? Before I could think, I jumped up, smacked my own bottom, and asked, do you think this ass could take a beating if it only got salads? Oh my lord, why? Why? I really want to say, dear audience of listeners, I would really like to say this is not me. This is exaggerated for the story, but alas, This is me. Oh my God. This is so me.
It's so you. You would absolutely do that.
I would completely lose my mind in front of important people in a restaurant. Yes. Yes, I would.
Oh. I love it.
But who would I be without it? We must accept ourselves. The band were absolutely howling, including Mike, but he gestured for me to sit down. Can you take it down a notch and save it for the band and spare the crew and other working people from your antics? He suggested, nodding at the waiter. Oh, I gasped. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot you were there. I sat down subdued. I would like a chicken tramezzini. I chose the first thing my eyes landed on.
Oh.
And what may I get you to drink, madam? The waiter asked me, shocked into being way too formal for the establishment. A glass of white wine, please. Just bring a bottle, please, Mike told the waiter.
Anything, please.
I'm not sure this is wise of Mike, though, because I'm already like this without the alcohol. Why is he including the alcohol now? It's
not all for you.
Oh, right, that makes sense. Sorry, I just assumed.
It's not like you wrote this or anything.
I cannot remember anything I ever write.
I know. It's hilarious.
I frowned at him, but didn't say anything. Everyone else ordered their food while I silently tried to interpret Mike's expression. Finally, the waiter left after the long order. Very sorry, everyone. I apologized to the table again. I don't get out much. I made a self-deprecating joke. No worries, Andrew said. I do manage a heavy metal band. Okay. Fair. That's sweet of him. That helps.
Yeah.
You ordered a bottle of wine, I asked Mike. Are you drinking wine tonight? It's for you, he replied simply. You see, Bella, it's for me.
That's true. I did forget. See, I forget too. I forget.
I looked at Zonda for clarification, but he just smiled. Are you trying to get me drunk, Mike? Once the words had left my mouth, I suddenly wondered if it was an appropriate line of questioning in front of the management. No, Mike replied, locking his eyes with mine. I wouldn't need it.
Oof. Oof.
I blushed unintentionally. Someone whistled. Zonda chuckled next to me, and I was vaguely aware of Jason sniggering as I crossed my arms silently. Andrew, Mike said, not taking his eyes off me. Are we staying on the bus tonight, or... Andrew shook his head. No, we're staying in a bed and breakfast across the road, he replied. Nice and close so we can leave right after breakfast. It would take about 6 hours to get to Paris, so if we left by 8, we'd make it to Paris by 1. Are we sharing rooms? He inquired further. They're separate cabins, Andrew told him. Any particular reason you're asking? Yeah. Mike's eyes flicked to mine, but he didn't elaborate. I wondered whether Andrew knew the ins and outs of why I was on tour, but he answered my question shortly after. I didn't book any extra accommodation for Nicole, he told Mike. I assumed she'd be staying with you. She'll stay with me, Mike confirmed. I'm really sorry that my presence is complicating matters, I told Andrew. Don't worry about it, he told me, then glanced at Mike. You didn't invite yourself on tour.
So true.
And I appreciate what you do, Andrew, Mike grinned. I kept my eyes fixed on my hands as to not catch anyone's eyes, but I could feel all the pairs of eyes on me. Really,
all the eyes.
All of the eyes.
All the eyes.
I mean, there's a lot of eyes if you count everyone at the table.
Yes.
Really got this one eating out of the palm of your hand, don't you? Andrew smiled. Nice, thanks. I caught Carter's eye by mistake, and he glared at me. The waiter brought the wine, and I poured myself a glass, glad for something to do. After my first couple of sips, Mike spoke. You've been quiet for a while. When I said turn it down a notch, I didn't mean you had to be silent. I took a sip of wine and answered, I don't have anything to say. Mike told me you're a teacher, Andrew said. What a dick move, Mike, I thought. But he didn't, it was obviously part of the power dynamic. It wasn't to be an actual douche. Yes, but I'm mainly a musician and writer, I said, drinking some more wine. You're a brave woman, Andrew said over the guys' laughter. I find it hard to survive them sometimes. Then he laughed at his own joke. Does anyone want some wine? I offered the table. I'll have some, Andrew said. I poured him a glass. Do you have any siblings? Andrew asked, accepting the glass from me. Thank you. I have 2 younger brothers. Hey, Xander said suddenly. How's Sylvia? She's great, I said. How did you know she's a friend of mine? Besides that, she spoke about you at the meet and greet. I assumed you knew the person you shared your prize with. Oh, of course. She's a cool chick. I laughed. She'll be glad to hear that. The food arrived and we started eating. I was glad to be able to concentrate on eating and not expected to think of something impressive to say. Instead, I listened with interest to the band discussing their new album. It was information not known to the public yet, so I tried to catch as much of it as I could without making it obvious that I was listening. So it was obviously very obvious.
Yes.
I looked up when it went strangely silent. Everyone's eyes were once again on me. What? I asked, looking around at them shyly. You were singing, Jason enlightened me, one of our songs. Oh no, I said loudly. Was I singing that aloud? Damn it. There was a general chuckle. You've got a good voice, Nicole, Jason smiled. I'll give you that. Thank you. Are we your favorite band? Noah teased. Oh, hilarious, I said and rolled my eyes. What is it you like about us? Xander asked. Come on. It's not that hard, Mike said. Just answer the question. The arrogance. I sighed. Everything? How descriptive, Mike breathed. I sighed again. Wow, they just want me to praise them, don't they?
They do. It's like, oh, come on. Tell us how great we are.
Okay, fine, I will. The amazing technical skill, guitar solos, the lyrics are some of the most intelligent things I've ever heard. Very poetic. But my favorite instrument is drums, even though I don't play them. And the band has the most creative drums. How did you first hear of us? Jason asked. I like asking fans that. I stared at him for a while, thinking how to answer his question. So, what's the story? He pushed. Actually, it was ages ago, I admitted. I poured a new glass of wine and took a couple of sips. Just after the release of your 3rd album, my brother introduced me to the music. I paused too long and Mike prompted. Is that it?
Hurry along, would you?
Patience, please, I smiled. My brother called me over and said, look at this band. It was on Scuzz on the TV. Wow, I just gave my age away. That doesn't exist anymore. So my brother said, I think you'd think they're hot. There were some murmurs and chuckles around the table and in the studio, as you just heard. I blushed, angry at myself for not filtering properly. So you think we're hot, Jason smirked. Obviously, it's clear by now that I think you are all hideous.
Naturally.
Satisfied that they were all laughing with me again and not at me, I cleared my throat. But it was the music. It was incredible. Super unique. That's it. Not an incredible story. But somehow I managed to make it a freaking monologue, though.
That is your single.
That is my single. What?
A unique talent of yours.
Yes, because you were about to say that is your single talent, and I was about to go, excuse me very much.
And I was like, no, that's not even correct. My brain just went, no, what? And then died.
What's your favorite song? Xander asked. I started listing some of the songs I liked the most, a lot of them written by Jason. It's not very common for drummers to write that many songs. Jay, you are a genius, I told him when I'd finished rambling about how great they were. Jason chuckled appreciatively. I wonder why women like those songs so much, Noah commented. It should be too grotesque for the female appeal. And agreeing with Bella is Jason, who says, who've you been dating? Jason asked Noah with raised eyebrows, making me laugh a little too loudly. I tried to draw attention away from it by adding, women are way more into the things you think we dislike. Like sex, for example. It's scientifically proven that women think about it more than men do. Right.
Yes, for science.
I mean, look at why we're here. That's not written, that's me.
Yes.
Yeah. Breaking the fourth wall.
Woo!
Right, Andrew said, probably uncomfortable with where the conversation was going. 6:30 sharp for breakfast, he told the band. Don't stay up too late. I'm going to bed. Me too, Billy said.
Trying to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. When it was just the band and I assumed the BDSM rules applied again. By the way, Nicole, Mike said, your dad called while you were asleep. What? I demanded. Did you answer it? I completely forgot about the rules. Yeah, he said with half a smile. Some of the other band members were chuckling. I told him your mouth was busy and incapable of speaking. He answered confidently. Before I could scream at him, Noah said, Mike's joking, Nicole. Oh, well, ha, I said, still a little annoyed. What does it matter? Mike said, infuriating. You're 33. You do realize fathers, no matter their daughter's age, don't want anything put in their daughters' mouths besides food and the blessed words of Jesus Christ. They all burst out laughing so intensely that I was unable to stop myself laughing along with them. So wait, my dad didn't phone? I asked once everyone had calmed down. Your dad phoned, but nobody answered, Zonda told me. We just saw the caller ID. Well, you scared me. I picked up the tomato ketchup and mock squeezed it in Mike's direction, not realizing the cap was open, and it squirted across his face and down his shirt.
Oh, shit.
Shit is right. I gasped and jumped up from the table like a reflex. I didn't notice anyone else around me anymore. My eyes were fixed on Mike, who was examining the damage. I'm so sorry, sir, I stuttered frantically. I didn't realize it was open, and He fixed me with a stare, and I fell instantly silent. It was silent while Mike wiped his face with the serviette, except for Xander and Jason, who were desperately trying to hide that they were canning themselves from opposite sides of the table. He stood up, watching me intently. I expect you in the cabin in 20 minutes. Then he calmly turned and left. I am in for it.
Oh my god, so much.
I stood staring after him until he disappeared into the darkness as he crossed the road. I unfroze and sat back down slowly in my seat. Every one of the 4 remaining band members had let go of hiding their laughter. Well done, Noah said and leaned over, holding his hand up to high-five me. I just stared at him, immobilized, so he high-fived Jason across the table instead. I stared at my wine glass in silence. Hey, Xander said, nudging me. You okay? No, I said softly. I'm going to be in so much trouble. That time, every single person at the table burst out laughing loudly. I stared flabbergasted at them. Well, thanks. I'm glad you find humor in my demise. They laughed even louder. Isn't that what you wanted? Xander asked, smiling. You signed up for this kind of thing. You know, it's just normally I don't get in trouble this quickly, I exclaimed. He's going to kill me. Don't be stupid, Jason chuckled. Xander agreed. Mike won't kill you. He might paralyze you, though. Carter even seemed to be enjoying himself then, or maybe he was just tipsy. I breathed a sigh and stood up. Hey, where are you going? Jason mumbled. I'm supposed to go to the cabin? I'd have some more wine before I go if I were you, Xander said, and as I turned to him, he winked. What? You know, he spoke in Jason's direction. It can act as an anesthetic? You guys are not comforting me at all. We're just playing with you, Noah smiled. Fuck, why are you so terrified anyway? Don't tell us you've been hiding your aversion. Carter toyed. I'm 33, dude. Right, but like, you don't act it. Nice, Carter. Very nice. It's Mr. Townsend. Oh, don't you start. He held up his hands in surrender. I don't know, it's just nerves. So, if it was any one of us, it would be the same? Noah asked, trying to understand. Yes, some of you, I may even be worse. Oh, who's that? Jason asked to my distress. And that's my cue to leave. The band decided it would be best to walk to the cabins with me, considering I had no idea where I was going.
Always the safest bet with you.
It is. I said goodnight to Jason and Carter as they drifted off towards their cabin. Noah and Xander's cabin were just next to Mike's. Outside of their cabin, we paused for a moment. Good night, guys, I said. Night, Xander said, leaning against the door of the cabin with a grin on his face. What? I asked uncomfortably. Nothing, he said, still grinning. Night. He went into the cabin, but Noah stayed. I frowned at him curiously. He stood silently watching me for a while. I treaded around in the dirt, waiting and wondering if I should just walk away or say goodnight again or something. Are you going to be okay? He finally asked, and I almost sighed out loud with relief. Of course, I said, and nodded frantically too many times. He won't do anything you don't want him to do. I know that. Noah laughed as if he knew what I was thinking. I promise you, I've known him my whole life. I nodded. Thank you. Can I ask you something? I nodded again. Don't worry, it'll be confidential. Are you going to ask me if I'm a virgin again? Because it's a bit silly, really. He laughed. No. Do you want to have sex with Mike? I barked to laugh. Is that the confidential question? Yeah, of course, I assured him. It's just a bit surreal that my favorite band's vocalist would want me. Noah chuckled and cast a very slow, deliberate look down my body.
We know that look. We all know that look.
Every woman alive knows that look. Are you kidding? Who wouldn't? Thank you, I smiled, confidence severely boosted. But really, I'd have sex with anything. He flashed a cheeky smile. Great.
And take it away.
Great. Confidence restored to normal levels. All settings of confidence levels, he smiled. I'm your man. See you in the morning. As I reached Mike's cabin door, I turned back. Noah, who was still waiting there, raised his eyebrows in question. Night, Mr. Niekerk. I'm Noah, thank you very much, he said friendly. It's in the agreement, and I'm in enough trouble as it is. Woman, just relax. I can hear you breathing all the way from there. I took a breath. Night, Noah. I hoped he would leave then. Night, Nicole. He closed the cabin door behind him. This is absurd. I want to have sex with Mike Solomon. All I want is for him to take advantage of me. So why am I so damn scared? I took another steadying breath and entered the cabin.
And that's all we've got for today.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry because every single one of you, I hope, at least a lot of you are going, what? No, not here. To the cabin. What's happening in the cabin? And that's exactly...
We want to know what happened to the cabin.
That's exactly what we want. We're playing with you.
Yes, we are.
Oh, look at that, Bella.
Our little toy.
We are brats and we are doming. We are doming the internet.
Hey, check us out. Well, after that...
All jokes aside,
Yes.
guys, we appreciate you so much.
so much. And we really hope you tune in next week for episode 4. Oh, actually, what's the title name?
I believe it's called Knee-Jerk Reaction.
You are right.
Oh,
Knee-jerk reaction.
I remembered something for once.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah, so as Bella says, next week for episode 4, we hope to see you all there, even though we don't actually see you.
See you?
Yeah, so we love you. We really do. We really appreciate you. See you next week and have an orgasmic day.